Don't make excuses. Another one that I see a lot of women do is they wait. Dream big. Hi, I'm Danisha Danielle, and I'm a Shunammite woman. I felt like an overachiever type of thing going on with me. I really always wanted to do really, really well, make my parents proud, and I ended up skipping 2 grades because I used to bring home my workbooks from school. I used to sneak them home and complete them and just turn them into the teacher. So I guess that was like my own strange way of dealing with my mom not being around and trying to make her proud, that I just did extra work, and I actually ended up skipping 2 grades because of it. At any age when you get pregnant, you don't realize how much it's going to change your whole life. And I think when you get pregnant sort of young and you're in your early 20s, you really have no idea. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna have a baby. I'm a grown up. I can handle this. And then you realize it changes everything about your life. And I was in a position where when I had her, I was in one position. I had a job. I had my college sweetheart who I was off and on with for many years. And so I felt comfortable that even if we don't work out long term, that we will be great parents, because we were wonderful, wonderful friends. And then very shortly thereafter, he was diagnosed with cancer and he died when she was 10 weeks old. I'm on maternity leave. I come back to work, I get laid off. So my whole situation changed from one situation completely to another. And I felt like, this was not what I planned. But I actually feel like, looking back on it 14 years later, because now my daughter is 14 years old, that it really showed me who I am. It made me a stronger person. It made me a better person. It made me know that I can do things on my own. And I, sometimes I make a joke about this, but it really taught me that I was unbreakable. And knowing that at an early age was actually a gift. I had always been interested in real estate, and so I always just kind of had an eye on it, but I never really knew, the apartment buildings that I was growing up in, I really never knew that people owned those apartment buildings. I just thought companies did, because that's where the rent check went, and that's where the notices came from. So I never really knew about commercial real estate until I got a temp job coming out of college doing accounting, and it was kind of my first temp job, and I came out and I was working at this place doing property management and corporate accounting, and I learned a lot about it. And the company that I worked for just so happened to sponsor you to get your real estate license. And so, being my little overachiever self, I was like, oh, I'll get my real estate license too, and I'll keep going in school. And so I did that, and it was during that process that I got pregnant. And so I was really, really young, but during the pregnancy and my maternity leave is when I got my broker's license. And so then when I got laid off from work, I was reviewing what my career choices could be. And I really, really wanted to go into real estate. And I was kind of drawn towards the commercial element, since that's what I knew from my previous job. And so despite every bit of advice I was getting around me, because everybody said, you can't go into a commission-based business, you're a single mom, you have no money, you have no support. I had some support because her father had left her some money, but not anything that was going to support a life. And so I said, okay, I guess I will just move into this and just hope and wish and pray. And I did. And then it started working out. It was a horrific 8 months. I didn't make any money for 8 months. I didn't go to my mailbox at all because I had no ability to pay a bill. So I was like, why go to the mailbox? I can't pay the bill. So the mail company actually stopped delivering mail to my house. And I had to, once I finally made a check, go to the post office and pick up a crate of all my bills. And that's actually how I got started in the real estate business. And then ever since then, it just kind of has been going up and up and up. The commercial real estate business is really it's got to be over 90% male dominated. So I think that when you're always surrounded by men, and remember, I was raised by my father, it's sort of comfortable for me, and I've never been raised to be sort of a demure type of woman. And even though I think that that's very powerful, you know, a powerful way of dealing with men, I've never been that type of woman. So for me, it's like I can be sweet, but most of the time I'm going to see you toe to toe, go right back at you. And that's what you need. You know, you have to know that it's okay to be feminine, but it's also okay to, I guess, show up in a masculine way when need be. So here I was, like a minority single mom in her early 20s coming into the boiler room, and it wasn't necessarily welcoming. You know, nobody was talking about daycare around the water cooler. Like nobody even had that idea. And so then when I started doing well, remember my first 7-8 months, it was like 7.5 months, I made no money. And then in the next few months, right after that, I made over $200,000 in gross commissions. So it was a big jump. And, you know, some of the men in my office wanted an explanation for that. So they thought, well, she must be sleeping with her clients, or maybe she's sleeping with the head of the company because that must be how she's doing it. And my response would always say, you know, they'd make a snide remark if I wore a skirt suit coming into work, like, oh, must be a listing appointment day, something like that. And I would just say, if only it were that easy, you would wear a skirt suit, because it's really, I don't think it's going to be that easy to get people to list their $1 million investments with somebody just because you wore a skirt. But all things being equal, I do think that women have an advantage in male-dominated businesses because we know how to speak to men, and we learn, and I think naturally we're better listeners. And really when you're in sales, the key is not talking, it's listening. You know, I don't think I didn't realize it was a multi-million-dollar company until I had to submit this thing for a loan I was getting for one of my properties. And I had to submit a net worth sheet. And so I called my accountant. I said, hey, can you send me a net worth sheet? And he did. And I was like, holy my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is that what, you know, that's what my business is worth? This is what my properties are worth? And I was completely mind blown because I had never even thought that. And so and then I never obviously talked about it because I felt awkward talking about that, you know. But then I thought, you know what? The point of doing anything in the world is to touch other people and have like a meaningful contact. And I felt like if, you know, the daughter of a drug addict and a single mom in her 20s could go from here to there, then people should know that. And, you know, I feel like I would have appreciated seeing more examples of that when I was in that position, because I kind of thought I was being crazy. Everybody around me told me, you're crazy to do this business. And I would have really appreciated having a role model that was showing me actually it is very easy to do. And since then, I've hired a lot of women and mentored a lot of women in my company who are now just as successful and doing fantastic things. So that makes me feel good, and that's the reason why I talk about it now. I would say to be infinitely self-honest and aware of your weaknesses, and then hire accordingly. Because when you know, okay, this is not something I'm good at, and this is, because you're not going to be good at everything. Nobody is. That's why they have, on the basketball court, they have 5 different positions and 5 different types of athletes. That's kind of the way you need to approach your business is, which position am I? Am I the point guard? Because if I'm the point guard, I need to get the best center and I need to get the best shooting guard. And so what I feel like I need to do is be aware of where my weaknesses are and what areas of my business need growth and need that strength, and then hire accordingly. Every year I do a vision board on New Year's Eve. And I started that about 3-4 years ago. And I do this vision board. I spend hours, I spend all day on it, and I just put everything and anything that I've ever wanted. And I did one where it was a TV, and it had my picture on it, and it had an OWN network logo on it. And it said like Danisha Danielle show or something like that. And I just put it up there. I was actually a little embarrassed to put it there because then people were like, well, what are you doing? You're a real estate girl. Why do you want to do that? And honestly, I've just been passionate about the principles that Oprah has always taught in the OWN network. And so I thought if I was going to do anything publicly, because I had done some media stuff before, that this is where I would want to be, and this is what I would want to do. And I mean, honestly, the law of attraction, I have countless stories of how it's worked, but in this way, an opportunity came to me via an email through social media that said, hey, do you want to audition for this show? I don't audition, but yeah, I want to audition. And it's Oprah. And I had actually missed the first email that she had sent a month before, somehow or another, missed that email, almost missed the opportunity, but had a second chance when the second email came through. I auditioned. We had an extensive testing period where we went through, and luckily I booked it and it actually came to fruition. And so now it's like, I've already been living a dream come true, but now this is like an even bigger, different, completely different dream come true, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. Don't make excuses. I think a lot of times we can focus on what we can't do instead of what we can do. And if you're a single mom, if you've been through some challenges in your life, and any of us have been, then you can do it too. You've been through worse stuff than this. So when it comes to business, don't back down. That's a very, very big one. Don't make excuses and don't back down from your own achievements. Another one that I see a lot of women do is they wait. They wait until they get married. They stay into an apartment, or they don't make real estate investments even though they could. They're waiting to get married, and they're waiting to have a partner in order to build a life with. And I feel strongly that you really don't know when that Prince Charming on the white horse is going to show up. And if he does show up, who knows what's going to happen after that? So you really need to make some good, great investments into yourself and into your future. And then that attracts a person that is also in that position and is also investing in themselves, because like attracts like every single time. So I strongly encourage women not to wait. And the last one is, dream big. And, I know my first year business plan was a $50,000 business plan, and I still have it. It's $50,000. And I was like, if I have $50,000 a year, I can have a 2-bedroom apartment, and I can get a new car that doesn't have limo tint windows with bubbles in it, And so I felt like if I could just get there, then I could be in a different position. And what ended up happening is me working so hard to get there, I actually more than doubled that. And so what I started thinking is, maybe my dreams are a little too small. Like, if I could do this in 1 year, and now I know what I didn't know then, what could I do in my second year? So I really would strongly encourage you to dream big, want wonderful things for yourself. You're supposed to want that. You're here to do great things, and you're here to touch people. So this is your opportunity, and that would be my advice.